Folks, I want to talk to you today about one of my favorite new file formats for exporting frames from video. And so I'm going to jump right into this. It's called the DPX format. I have my Snagit here. I have some 4K video that you're seeing here, and I've made some little markers here of some frames that I kind of liked. So I have customized my toolbar here. In case you don't know how to do that, you can go here and click this. And a really good thing to add to your toolbar underneath your video if you want to is the go to next marker. So I'll just cancel out this for now, but so I've got that here. I'm going to go to this first marker here, which is this, and let's see, it should be this big elbow tree. We call this up in the mountains. This is up at a cemetery. This is called the Collis Cemetery. I'm going to do a little video on the Collis Cemetery. It's kind of neat. We do a thing called decoration there, but long story short is I'd like to save this frame. So you have this button here for export. Now the new version of Premiere Pro CC 2015, if you click on this, you have a new file format. I used to do bitmap because bitmap is lossless. And then you have JPEG and all your different other ones that you might typically export as. But I really like this DPX. It stands for Digital Picture Exchange. And I've heard about this for years. I haven't used it a whole lot in the past. But what I can tell you about it is it's kind of world famous for being used among like film labs and things, people who are seeing it over for special effects. It's a very high, almost lossless form of photo or of image that you can export from a video. This Digital Picture Exchange, I think it was developed by Kodak Cineon, I don't know, 25 years ago, something like that. But this is really cool that they've added this. So I'm going to export this still, and we can see here that Premiere is going to go ahead and just name the still automatically for me, saying where it was located within the project here. So I'm going to say OK. Now I'm going to go to the next one. It's going to be should be a still of my grandfather's grave. So there's my granddad, who was my grandfather was in World War I. Pretty cool. I had one grandfather that was in World War II, one that was in World War I. So I'm going to hit export frame here, and we're going to export that frame as well to my folder. I'll go to the next one, and this should be another some nice ferns here. And I'm going to export this one, clicking that button, say OK, and I'll go to one more. I'll go to this one, and it should be just some pretty treetops. We'll export this one, OK. Then I'll do one more, which should be a fire on a mountain that I stopped and saw. There's a side of a mountain on fire as I was coming down from Little Switzerland. So I'm going to export that one as well. OK. Now, just so you'll see how these work and how they work so flawlessly with Photoshop now, I'm going to go to Adobe Photoshop, toggle over. And let's see, I'll let me this up as wide as I can get it here. So let's open up these images. I'll say File, Open. I got my DPX Files folder here, and you can see there's like some I'm gonna call metadata, or it's sort of like metadata here that you can use. I'm gonna go ahead and click Type so that I'm not messing with that. I'm gonna get these. You can see these are huge files, 32 meg files, so that all your data is there. It almost is like like a camera raw image. I'm gonna say OK. Now all these images were 4K, and so they're all very high res. And so say I want to do some adjusting of these. I can go in here, Image, Adjust, Brightness, Contrast. I can contrast these a little bit better, take some of the brightness out maybe. I can go do, if I want to go to another one here, I can go Image, Adjust. Might do an Auto Color here to give that a little bit more. Image, Adjust maybe also. Let's give this also some hue saturation. So I'm going to saturate this just a little bit. Now we've got a much brighter, cooler looking image. Could go to this one, Image, Adjust, probably do a, let's do a vibrance on this one as well. We'll do some saturation, and we'll do a little bit of vibrance on this one to get those roses popping. Might go to this one. Now this is a cool image to work with. It's a Image, Adjust, Brightness, Contrast. Let's definitely increase the contrast a bit here. I might go to Image, Adjust, might go to Hue Saturation on this one as well, just to probably give it just a little bit more yellows into that. Probably back off the lightness a little, no maybe not. Image, Adjust, Exposure. What would happen if we did exposure here? Let's take the exposure down just a little bit, and let's offset. We don't offset. There we go, offset this way. And a little bit of gamma correction somewhere along here. OK, maybe Image, Adjust, Auto Tone even here at this, and now I've got something that looks really kind of cool. Go up here to this one, Image, Adjust, Brightness, Contrast. I might take the brightness down just a little bit on this and add some more contrast and make that pop just a little better. And in here we've already done something with this one. So you can see what I've got some really great imagery now that came right straight out of the camera. Here's one I didn't even realize I'd done. I'm going to close that one. I don't even want that one. I think what you get with this is you just get really great color depth. You get the ability to ramp up the colors, or enhance them better, pull stuff probably out of shadows better than you could with others. Let's look at this one as an example, since there are some shadows here. Let's do an image adjust shadow highlights. And so here we can see you could push that pretty far. It looks like it's not pixelating or anything there in the shadows. So I'll turn this. I'll turn the preview off. That's what you got before and after. Kind of like that. Image adjust, hue saturation. Might saturate that just a bit more too. There we go. So yeah, it's become kind of one of my favorite ways to edit the imagery. Now, what do you do? Well, so let's say you wanted to put this out as a, I don't know, a YouTube slate or something on one of your YouTube videos. Since I have 4K video here, I don't want to go out at this full size, but you could export these as photos from your 4K. I might typically, if I'm going to use this on YouTube or something, I might go to image and I do image size, and then I would go 1920, 1920. We'll say OK. And I would, if you want to see what that's going to look like, actual 100%, we could do this, and you can see it's still very good quality. I say File, Save As, and then I would go to probably a JPEG in this situation if I want to go out to YouTube with it. I might just call it Trees, T-R-E-E, Trees, JPEG, JPG, and it'll put a JPEG extension after it, of course. I'll say Save, and I'm probably going to pick about a level 10 JPEG to go up to YouTube. So there you go, folks. Digital Picture Exchange, DPX. I would highly recommend you export your frames. If you're going to use them as still frames in your video, if you're going to save them as pictures, share them on Facebook, share them to your photo sharing website, it's a good way to do it. You're probably going to want to save it as JPEG, level 12, level 10, something like that. I share some of these frames that I'm doing in 4K to SmugMug, and they go in my SmugMug libraries for magazines and other projects that I'm working on. Peace to all who watch. Thanks. I hope this has been helpful to someone. Subscribe if you like.